Joining us now is OjyOkpe, whose story is trending around the world. Hello, Jinex.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How was your weekend? You know how to ginger my morning. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
You were excellent this weekend. Congratulations on your speakathon. Tell us about it really quickly.
Oh, very quickly.
Yes.
So Rolake Filani and I started speaker,
yes.
and it's to empower women with communication excellence. Over the weekend, we had the conference, the second one, and it was really great to see women come on stage, amateurs, and just take on the stage, particularly the secondary school students. They wowed us.
Fantastic.
Congratulations to the winners.
Perfect. You and Rufai are doing the Lord's work. I missed that. I wish I was there. Next year, I will be there. Make sure you make me one of these.
I will give you advance notice.
Am I going to be one of your speakers?
You'll be our judge.
Our judge. Perfect. Congratulations, Ayo. Rufi on fire. How are you this morning? Fantastic. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending. Yesterday, October 20th, marked the 4th year remembrance of the EndSars protest against police brutality, which ended abruptly after soldiers of the Nigerian army opened fire on peaceful protesters. Well, on Sunday, protesters gathered at the Lekki tollgate area for a memorial rally to commemorate the protests of October 2020. However, police officers stationed at the tollgate arrested about 22 of the protesters, including Taiwo Soweto, one of the leaders of the End Bad Governance movement.
Let me go get massacre. By a group of policemen under the leadership of the Commissioner of Police in Lagos. I'm right now speaking to you.
Look at me.
From a black Maria.
I am beaten and my phones are seizing.
Brutalized. My glasses.
I will have been robbed. Their phones have been taken by the police.
It was struck away from the hands of a police officer without any provocation. We're asking here today, when the right to commemorate the dead has become illegal criminalized in this country.
Well, hours after that incident, the Lagos State Police Command released all the arrested protesters. Human rights lawyer Inibehe Effiong, who facilitated their release, made the announcement in a post on X stating that we have secured the release of all 22 activists who were arrested this morning at the Lekki tollgate while commemorating the 4th anniversary of the Lekki massacre. We had a discussion with the Commissioner of Police, who came over to the state CID in respect of the matter. The items seized from the protesters were also returned to them. I mean, I know you guys had Inibehe Effiong earlier. I'm not sure if he actually reported the story of one of the protesters, Thomas Olamide, who claimed that upon her release, 15,500 naira was missing from her wallet, which initially held 25,000 naira. I mean, this was a horrendous incident that took place yesterday.
Shameful.
The police, I mean, they need to respond to that actual allegation. Let me take this tweet from Prince, who wrote, "People beaten, arrested and thrown inside a Black Maria by the Nigerian police for holding a banner and a wreath to lay at the Lekki tollgate to commemorate the EndSars Lekki tollgate massacre. This injustice will not be tolerated, neither will it be cowed." Update on the EndSars #memorial. Well, again, the incident was horrendous. It was uncalled for. It's the same thing that is happening over and over again. 4 years after that dreadful, dreadful incident that occurred October 2020. Let's take Dr. Abati's comment on this, since this is illegal and
okay, the first point to make is that the right to protest is constitutional. We have had, lawyers on this program, and also yesterday on another program, saying that Section 39 guarantees your freedom of expression. To say that people cannot protest will amount to stifling their right to speak. Now, the decided case, the locus classicus in this regard, is Inspector General of Police versus AMPP, a 2007 case, where Adeke GCA, as she then was, made the point that the Public Order Act is unconstitutional.
Right.
That the police has an obligation to protect anybody who wants to protest, and that you don't need to ask for a police permit. There has been no other ruling since 2007 varying that. So for the Commissioner of Police in Lagos to say that the protesters in Lagos did not ask for police permit, he acted ultra vires. And, in Abuja, it was a similar situation when the people who came out to protest were tear gassed. So the police, we need to take their cue from all of this, and they need to be properly advised. The second issue is, the memory of the people who died, people who were injured, families who were left in agony on account of the fact that the Nigerian government could not address police brutality. So that memorial was from that context. Number 3 is that the demands of the protesters up to this moment have not been met. They asked, for example, for psychiatric examination for anybody that is carrying a gun in Nigeria. How do we know whether there has been psychiatric examination? The only concrete thing that government has done has been disbanding EndSars as a unit.
Yeah.
But that has not ended police brutality.
Yeah.
You bring stories here now of policemen, dragging steering wheel with people, of shooting people, indiscriminately, and claiming not to know how it happened. So there are issues, there are challenges that still need to be addressed. Pelumi Onifade, the mother, Mrs. Bose Onifade, is saying that the family deserves to see the corpse of their son, who was killed in Agege, a suburb of Ikeja, 4 years ago. So there are still unresolved issues. The ultimate point will be how to ensure good governance in this environment, that the police are considered truly the friend of the citizen, and not that the police are accused of being brutish against the average citizen. There are issues to still be resolved.
All right, thank you for highlighting, the legal aspects of that, the Constitution. Rufai, the fact that, these people were beaten. Yeah. Beaten. We heard that End Bad Governance protester alluding to that fact. I mean, what is going on in this country?
So, it speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And we've all been affected one way or the other. You remember, I think it was the second year anniversary that Femi's incident happened, that the police officer was trying to push Femi, and there was tear gas and with Sheito and all of that. And it just shows how the police behave. So I did ask Inibe a very important question. I said, should we have a complete overhaul, or we should bring about reforms? He was talking about reform. But you see, if you watch a Channels documentary done many years ago, and you see the deplorable state of the police college, you can never get anything good out of Nigerian police, except miracles for people that have good personal conduct. So the deplorable situation in which our police force passes through in their training is one. Secondly, the welfare system. Thirdly, the societal malaise itself and what the society has become, because most of these police officers, they see the politicians enjoying the big life, and they see that they've got recourse to nothing. Furthermore, when you look at even the case of this boss akin to Black Maria, I remember when lawyers had protested constantly against this Black Maria, that it dehumanizes the person.
Right.
But mostly, this police officer should remember that just like June 12th was demonized those days, today is a public holiday. At some point, you have a government in the future that will recognize what happened and memorialize it. So all of this demonization will not take us anywhere. And you need to be able to respect the rights of people. That's why Amnesty International has come out to say that this was a very deplorable act and the police should not do it. I would like to also talk about that money incident. I think Ben Ode was asking Enibe Efik, and I wanted to ask that question, but it was just an oversight. Yeah. What really happened to that lady's money? I think they should be able to. But before Enibe Efik answers that question at some point, maybe in his tweet, Ben too should tell us what happened. Has the money been returned? Yes. What has happened as regards that, so that we can have a complete integrity. But this is needless. I look forward to a day where government officials will hold hands with protesters, and they will memorialize this day in this country. And that day will come. It might not be now, but it will come at some point.
All right. Well said, Rufai. Well, in the meantime, tragedy struck Awka South local government area of Anambra State on Sunday as a brutal attack by masked gunmen claimed numerous lives during the Onwa Asa Festival, a traditional community celebration. The assailants, reportedly driving in black Lexus SUVs, stormed an eatery in the community and opened fire indiscriminately, leaving several people dead. Well, according to eyewitnesses who spoke to This Day, at least 16 people were confirmed dead, with fears that the death toll may rise. Ayo, I mean, look at what we are seeing in the southeast, in the east. We're still seeing this sort of massacre going on in East.
It's very sad. There are many angles. Number one is that when we look at festivals, we've been talking about tourism, encouraging tourism. We're just even giving suggestions to the president a few days back as to some places you could visit in the country and how Nigeria could be a tourist destination. Part of attracting people to the nation is festivals like this. However, one of the things that keeps coming up when we talk about tourism and festivals is the security situation and the lack of security, or shall I say insecurity, in certain parts of the nation that discourage people from visiting or going to these places. The Southeast, Anambra State in particular, has been notorious. If it's not the sit-at-home, which is still dicey, is it still happening on Mondays or not? It's the unknown gunmen, it's people who are causing mayhem and havoc in the lives of the citizens. A number of people should account for this. Number one is the police, and then the governor of the state. He is the chief security officer of the state and should be able to address issues like this. Who are these men? In fact, they said that the motive for them opening gunfire on the festival makers has not been clear. It's not clear why. There's no reason why. Just mindless killing. Nigeria cannot be the United States of America, where we wake up one morning and someone decides that he's not feeling well and decides to shoot people all around. This has to be arrested. It has to be investigated. By now, there ought to have been leads as to what happened.
Absolutely.
These men are many times, they are members of the community. Community members have intelligence information or have information that could lead to the arrest of these men. So maybe this is an appeal as well to people who know these men. To go out there, 16 people confirmed dead, it cannot go unnoticed. So I'm just raising just that flag in the southeast, in Anambra State, to be especially that they have to deal with insecurity. People dying mindlessly is a shame, and it casts a pall on what should have been a joyous ceremony, a joyous festival.
Absolutely, this is pure terrorism. Pure terrorism at most. Well, again, we're calling on security forces. May their souls rest in peace. Let's take another story. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, during an event in Rivers State over the weekend, aimed digs at his political opponents. Wike said that he refused to support Peter Obi for the 2023 presidential election, despite his team lobbying for support. Neither did he support Atiku Abubakar because he wanted equity and fairness. Wike maintained that he has no regret for supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, while boasting that his political enemies will not emerge victorious in 2027. Take a look.
We have no regret at all for supporting President Asiwaju Bola Tinubu.
Yes, sir.
I have no regret. All these things you are seeing, there's Atiku group, there's Peter Obi group, and there's some few governors of PDP who believe I'm a problem to them, and I'll continue to be a problem to them. The Atiku group believe that I and my team stopped them from becoming president. We stopped injustice. All we wanted was equity, fairness, and what? Justice. Obi's group, they lobbied me so much, they cannot deny it. And I said, look, this one won't fly. River State will not go to where I will not know it won't fly. Let me tell all of you, all these people combined, they will lose. All these people combined, they will do what? They will lose.
All right, Emperor Wike, these people will lose. You know, there's been responses. Atiku has said that he won't descend into the gutters to exchange words with Wike. I believe there was also a statement that was released by his spokesperson saying that Wike and his collaborators are playing politics with the sufferings of Nigerians. Dr. Abati, over to you.
You know, many years ago, when I used to teach, before I diverted into this chit-chat that we do in journalism, I used to teach a course called Comedy and Other Comic Forms. And when we teach comedy, the lowest form of comedy is buffoonery or burlesque or farce. But the worst level of comedy is buffoonery. So what I see, Minister Wike putting up in this reverse matter is the equivalent of a political buffoonery.
Oh my goodness!
And you will not be, you see how he does it. You know, all these bodily contortions. He will twist this way. He will twist that way. He will have voice inflection. You know, pure political entertainment that will even make good theater. And he has with him a good audience there who just occasionally laugh as if they have been mechanically programmed. And these are supposed to be adults also. But in any case, let's go beyond the theory of comedy to talk about, okay, what is the point what is the point that he's making? He's just saying he's a lord and master of River State politics. And he's been consistent in that regard to say, look, anybody that comes to his territory, he will deal with the person. The only point that Waziri Adamawa Atiku made was that the local government election in which APP won 22 out of the 23 seats has shown, indicated that Wike had lost relevance in Rivers State. And then he had this repost to say it's Atiku Abubakar who has lost relevance because in Rivers, PDP was not involved in any case, and that Atiku Abubakar is someone who ran for an election and lost, and that is the one who is a serial loser who should pack his bag and go. Well, that's just political talk. But I would like a situation whereby, the politicians talk more, not about personal ambition, not about being emperor, but the good that they can do for the people, the common good.
Yes. In
the conversation, we have pushed common good to the background. And that's why you find, these politicians are always ready to clap, always ready to laugh. When somebody who says he's the emperor, induces them with rhetoric and with whatever other else, that we may not be privy to, we should get some level of seriousness. Otherwise, it's just political entertainment of the Nigerian variety. I know they do political entertainment in other places too, but we seems to be at the lowest end of the comedic spectrum.
Well said, Dr. Abati. Well, meanwhile, former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi has come under fire on social media after celebrating former military head of state Yakubu Gowon, who turned 90 over the weekend. Obi, in a post on X on Saturday, extolled Gowon, saying that his life of service to our great nation, Nigeria, stands as one of sacrifice, leadership, and unity. His tweet read in part: "In a time of hate, you stood for love. At a time of strife, you stood for peace. At a time of division, you stood for unity. Your steadfast commitment to preserving the peace and sovereignty of Nigeria during a challenging period in our history will forever be remembered and revered. Your exemplary leadership and statesmanship remain an inspiration to younger and many generations of Nigerians." Well, Peter Obi's birthday wishes to Gowon was heavily criticized by a cross-section of Nigerians who blame Gowon's regime for the death of millions of Biafrans. Well, in a follow-up post on Sunday, Peter Obi defended his message, saying that he needed to demonstrate to the world that true heroism lies in forgiving the enemy and moving forward. Well, his tweet reads in part: "Indisputably, the darkest part of our 64-year journey as a nation is the 30 months of civil war from 1967 to 1970. And God Almighty, whose way is not our way, must have a reason why he kept the chief prosecutor of the war, who is General Gowon, alive to be 90 years today, and the man who saw the end of the war, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, to be there at 87 years, spearheading all the moves to see a reconciled and just Nigeria. There was also a developing new spirit, while the same country, Nigeria, gave the Biafra leader, Dim Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, a heroic national burial on 2nd March 2012, when he joined his ancestors, coincidentally, under my tenure as governor of Anambra State. The status of the burial given to Dim Ojukwu remains the boldest indication to the world that Nigeria as a country is disposed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation. Well, let me take one of the reactions that went viral after Peter Obi put out that tweet on Saturday. This is from George. He wrote, "He sacrificed millions of your own people for unity. Unity without cohesion and love is a disservice to humanity." I mean, I believe Peter Obi also in the tweet he put out on Saturday did mention that his father died during the Civil War. Let me take another tweet from Dr. Maduka, who wrote, "Peter Obi, why are you this desperate? You are so desperate you can't speak the truth to power. Gowon that attacked Biafra and killed millions of Indigbo, including deliberately starving to death millions of innocent children of Biafra, is the man you said stood for peace and stood for love. You are one of those that have enslaved Indigbo." This reaction was also one of those reactions that, was trending when they said, they're saying that Peter Obi is so desperate and that's why he had to, congratulate Yakubu Gowon in the manner that he did. But, he talked about reconciliation a lot. Let me take another tweet from Pablox, who wrote, "Those involved made peace, but children of anger who weren't born in that era are still holding on to the war. In war, people win or lose. They die or live. Daily you ask God and your neighbor for forgiveness, but your heart is filled with bitterness and evil for others." Well, this Pablox had posted a picture of General Yakubu Gowon and the late Ojukwu. And with that caption, they wrote, "Wartime enemies, Emeka Ojukwu and Yakubu Gowon reconcile at the former residence in Enugu, 40 years after the end of the Nigerian Civil War, 2010. Hashtag history vile." But like you saw in his second part of the tweet, why he praised Gowon. He talked about the fact that, we should continue to remain steadfast in our forgiveness. And as you saw also in that picture that I put out, Rufai, General Yakubu Gowon and Ojukwu actually met 40 years after.
Definitely they did meet. So a couple of things. I mean, I see the reaction from a lot of people against what Peter Obi said. Yes, because of the Civil War. And the magnitude of the pain of the Civil War has not gone away. In fact, when you hear some people say, they speak about life before and after the Civil War. And we should never forget the incident that led to the Civil War. We should never forget that there was an elections in 64 to 65 that opened the doors for the Civil War. And apart from Ojukwu and Gowon, Gowon was just that prosecutor, and Ojukwu was head of the Eastern region when the war finally started, was the real political actors and what they did from 1960 to about the 64 elections. And all the shenanigans they did. Don't forget, it was also that time we had Wike in the Wild Wild West, as it was called. And when you look at what happened after the Civil War, the reintegration has not been complete. A lot of people, Igbos have a right to complain. The marginalization is still there. And that's why people like me campaigned heavily for an Igbo presidency in the last election, so that we can have a balancing axis with return to democracy. Oji, apart from the things that are said or not said, my greatest fear is that the way our politicians behaved in the 60s that led to the Civil War, most of our politicians are still behaving like that till today. The sad reality on ground is today is the fact that we have not learned anything for the Civil War. And if care is not taken, we can repeat the mistakes of the past easily. And that's my greatest fear. It's not what has been said or not been said. I mean, there are arguments across on both sides. The Gowon camp too can make the argument that, okay, where did the first plane jacking happen that led to the war? Who shot the first bullet that led to the war and all of that? We can go back and forth. Nigerians were killed in that Civil War. People were killed from the Eastern region, which was wrong, which was abhorrent. But the problem is, close to 50 years after Oji, we are still making those mistakes that we made that led us to a civil war. Take, for instance, look at one of this political class that Dr. Bati was talking about this morning. People that feel that they are larger than life, that they control a state when there are people there that vote in elections in the states. And look at them. Look at the political class. Look at the pain and hardship that's happening in Nigeria today. Look at some people feeling that it's all about them. Look at the ethnic baiting that happened at the last elections. Look at what happened in Lagos and other parts of the country. Look at how we still vote. The political leaders then share a lot of blame. And how did they do it then? They used media to confuse the minds of a lot of people. Most of our top political founding fathers had media outfits. Don't forget that. They were owners of newspapers. And with them, they sipped into our consciousness this ethnic malaise we have today. So my fear is that many years, and I like the reconciliation picture you put out.
Yeah. I thought it was
many years, Gowon and Ojyokpe had their own personal beef, even after Aburi, pre-Aburi and after Aburi. We have a new political class that have not learned lessons from those wars. I mean, Gowon is still around, Ojyokpe is long gone.
Yeah.
But we have a political class that have not learned lessons from those wars, and that's my sad part in all of this.
Yeah. Well, I think that there is wisdom in forgiveness. There's wisdom in reconciliation. I mean, happy birthday to Yakubu Gowon. He turned 90. And, you know, I guess that the story out there for a lot of our young people, the history that was removed from the past, I guess they can go ahead and read up on the history of Nigeria and the Civil War. Well, it's good that Peter Obi has called for forgiveness. Well, let's celebrate now. The annual Ofala Festival, which celebrates the best of African culture in southeastern Nigeria, has made the rounds on social media. Let's take a look. Oh, that was beautiful. I mean, we did have the Ojude festival recently. Yeah. That was beautiful to see. But this festival is, you know, it's a unique one because I believe, you know, it celebrates the best of African culture and, you know, it is for honoring the Igwe Alfred Nnameka Achebe, the traditional ruler of Ime Obi Kingdom in Anambra State. And the theme of the festival was courage, perseverance, and self-resilience, which reflects the Igwe's message of hope and resilience amidst prevailing hardship in the country. I mean, great celebration. I believe it ends on Wednesday. And, you know, it's nice to see that, you know, amidst the war in the southeast, there is still celebration. Well, in Jigawa State, Governor Umar Nnamdi has suspended the state's commissioner for special duties, Anwar Sankara, over an alleged affair with a married woman. On Friday, the Kano State Hisbah Board said Sankara was arrested at an uncompleted building over an alleged illicit affair with a married woman in Kano. While reacting to the allegation in a statement, the commissioner dismissed it as false, malicious, and baseless. Sankara vowed to take legal action against those behind the allegations, adding that their aim was to damage his reputation. Dr. Bati, I mean, this is the story coming out of Jigawa State. I know that, you know, Jigawa just faced a huge tragedy where over 170 people lost their lives, and we are seeing the governor here concerning himself over marital issues.
Well, it's as follows.
Yes.
The state government is saying that, look, this incident is going to affect the reputation of the state government. Now, the state government has set up a 5-man panel to investigate, you know, what has happened. Secondly, the commissioner affected is commissioner for special duties. He has also been suspended. Now, in the northern part of the country, allegations of adultery is taken very seriously. It's considered a felony. And under the penal code, which is the law operating in northern Nigeria, sections 387 and 388, the punishment for adultery is 2 years imprisonment and or, fine. Fine is not even an option. And this is the Eastern Police Board saying that they found this commissioner, although he has denied it, in an uncompleted building with a married woman. Now, the issue here is that they are saying that it was even the woman's husband, Bulama, a certain Mr. Bulama, and the brother, who reported to the police, reported to the Eastern Board, and reported to the government that this man had been concocting his wife. Cocodry, as I have pointed out, is a serious issue in northern Nigeria, and I've specified the punishment under penal code. However, in the southern part of Nigeria, adultery is not a criminal offense. It can be a ground for divorce under Section 15 of the Matrimonial Causes Act, Section 15, sub 2. It can also, if your wife has been taken from you, the offense is seduction. All these people who are talking with people's wives, up and down, we keep telling them, leave another man's wife alone. The man can sue you under Section 31 of the Matrimonial Causes Act and ask for compensation. And the compensation will be that, well, you have been disturbing his wife. That is the situation in southern Nigeria. But in the north, adultery is a serious offense.
Absolutely. Well said, Dr. Abati. Well, all right. We'll head over to the United States now, where Vice President Kamala Harris turned 60 on Sunday, making campaign stops at black churches in Georgia as her 70-year-old opponent, Donald Trump, served French fries at McDonald's in Pennsylvania as he tried to appeal to blue-collar voters.
Never touches the human hand.
Very good. Very
nice
good.
and full.
Thank you.
This is fun. I could do this all day. I wouldn't mind this job. I like this job. I think I might come back and do it again. Thank you. Compliments of Trump, okay?
Yes, thank you. Mr. President,
yes.
Please don't let the United States become Brazil, my native Brazil.
We'll keep it good.
Please.
We're going to make it better than ever, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Mr.
Compliments
President.
of Trump.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you over there.
Oh my God.
Have a good time.
Are you going to give Aaron Rodgers
Well, music legend Stevie Wonder accompanied Harris at one of her appearances in a suburb of Atlanta, singing a special rendition of Happy Birthday while urging voters to vote for Harris. Let's take a look. Well, happy birthday to Kamala Harris. I also want to wish my producer, Antonia, a happy birthday. She is wonderful,
birthday,
beautiful girl who has been doing so well on What's Trending. But you know, that's French fries. Two powerful women. Well done, Antonia. But that French fries was epic.
Oh, Chief of Staff.
Chief of Staff's birthday is today. There are implications. Happy birthday, Antonia. But the French fries,
you know,
my girl as always. My girl as always. Well, I wish we had time to chat. I wanted you to say something about Donald Trump and his French fries.
Yes, he was trying to show that he can connect with, with the common people, ordinary people in Nigeria, but I don't think that hit anyone.
You don't think it worked? Well, all right. I'd like to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.